Let me just talk to you for a second, because I can't lie, this whole Trey Hendrickson situation, it's been driving me absolutely insane, and I mean that in the most frustrating, head-scratching, did we just fumble an opportunity of a lifetime kind of way, because what started as a maybe, a whisper, a long-shot rumor suddenly felt like it was on the verge of exploding into reality. And now it feels like we blinked, and the window slammed shut before anyone even knew it was really open. And I don't know about you, but I'm sitting here wondering if the Bears missed the single biggest shot they could have taken all off-season. So let's break this down, just you and me, because this is way more than just a tweet or a trade rumor that fizzled out. This was a fire that almost caught, a conversation that almost led to action, and a decision that could have redefined the Chicago Bears' defensive identity in a way we haven't seen in years. And now I'm left here pacing back and forth, asking myself one question over and over again. Was this ever really close? Or was it just another tease that we convinced ourselves was real because we're starving? Starving for an edge rusher, starving for defensive dominance, starving for that one final piece to tie it all together around Caleb Williams and this new-look roster. Now, let's be real. The whole thing started with a tweet, and not just any tweet. A tweet from Slick Rick Scoops, a.k.a. Ricky, a.k.a. the People's Insider, a.k.a. the dude everyone pretends to hate on until he breaks something 2 hours before Adam Schefter even wakes up. I know some folks clown him, say he's a shot in the dark, but man's been right this offseason. He was early on the Jalen Ramsey stuff, ahead of the Rodgers to Pittsburgh buzz, had a few other hits, and when he says, the Bengals and Hendrickson are far apart and the trade deadline they gave him passed, my ears perk up, because that's not just speculation, that's movement. That's a locked door that was slightly cracked open. And now we're sitting here wondering if we ever reached for the handle. And don't get it twisted, Hendrickson wanted out. He didn't just say it behind the scenes. He showed up to minicamp just to speak to the media and lay it all out. Said he was promised a deal this offseason. Said there's been no communication. Said, yeah, he wants out. And you could feel it, man. That wasn't a business-as-usual presser. That was a man venting, a man frustrated, a man who knows he's too valuable to be played around with by an organization that's apparently willing to do neither. They won't pay him, and they won't trade him. And that, to me, is the most toxic middle ground you can find yourself in. Now here's the reality. Hendrickson is not showing up to play on $16 million this year. Not when the market has exploded. Not when he sees Daniel Hunter get $35.6 million on a one-year deal and thinks, wait a second, I've been more consistent, more productive, more durable. Why would I accept half that? And that brings us to the contract. He's not asking for something wild here. He wants security. He wants 2 or 3 years, $30 to $35 million per. Probably $70 to $80 million guaranteed. And yeah, that's a lot. But look at what these other guys are getting. Look at what mediocre edge rushers are being paid just to exist. And Hendrickson? He's been the backbone of that Bengals defense at times. He's not just worth it. He's underpaid right now by today's standards. And that's where my frustration with the Bears starts bubbling. Because if this guy was even remotely available, and Rick seems to think he was, at least for a short time, why weren't we all over it? I get it. I get it. Maybe the Bengals were asking for a first-rounder. And, sure, that's a steep price. But what if, just what if, there was wiggle room? What if a day 2 pick, a third, and a conditional 5th or something like that, plus a fair extension could have gotten it done? You're telling me that wasn't worth exploring? Because from where I'm standing, You look at this Bears defensive line right now, and it is crying for someone like Trey Hendrickson. You add him to this group? Boom, everything shifts. Montez Sweat, who's a good player but clearly not a dominant week-to-week terror, gets to slide into that complementary role. Less pressure, more efficiency, better matchups. Suddenly, you have a legit edge duo. The interior rotation of Dexter, Billings, Pickens, and others. Now, they can thrive. The entire front seven levels up. The domino effect is real, and we just passed it up like it was optional. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Well, maybe the Bears were never in it. And you might be right. But then, why? Why not even make the call? Why not even test the waters? Because right now, what we have is Montez Sweat and a bunch of hopes and prayers behind him. And no disrespect to Austin Booker, Dominique Robinson, Daniel Hardy, Dio Odengbo. But that's not a terrifying edge rotation. That's a group where you're hoping someone pops out of nowhere, and that's dangerous, especially when the strength of your defense is supposed to be the front four. So let me ask you, real talk, how confident are you in this group? Because I've watched every snap of Montez Sweat. I know what he brings. Long arms, elite run defender, flashes of brilliance as a pass rusher. But he disappears at times. He's not T.J. Watt, not Micah Parsons, not Garrett. He's a really good player who, in a perfect world, is your second-best edge rusher. But right now, he's the guy we're leaning on to carry the whole unit. And we're pretending that's fine. But it's not. Because what happens when he's neutralized? When double teams come? When injuries hit? Who steps up? I'll wait. Because it's quiet. And don't even get me started on the veterans still sitting out there. Zadarius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, Matt Judon, Von Miller, Preston Smith, all of them still unsigned. All of them imperfect but available, experienced, capable of giving you real snaps. And yet, we're doing nothing? That's malpractice. And I'm not saying sign them all, but bring one in, vet them, work them out, try. Because right now, this edge group lacks two things you cannot live without in this league: dominance and depth. It's one thing to have one and not the other, like the Raiders with Max Crosby. But to lack both, that's terrifying. And I hate to say it, but this is the kind of issue that creeps up and kills your season before it even gets rolling. You can't fake edge pressure.